Mungu alipenda ulimwengu akamtoa mwana wake ili mtu amwaminie na apate. Ni kweli, ndiyo kweli, ahadi zake si kweli, neno lake Mungu wangu, ahadi zake si kweli, ikawa mwana asiye mwema, kwa dhambi ikawa Song number 205, Songs of Worship 205. Pia nafahamishwa kuwa wenye wako na maswali waweze kumpa brother Nyamu. Tukiimba huu wimbo ukimalizika, nitaomba pia pastor aweze kuja aombe hii session ya pili. Number 205. Jesus keep me near the cross, there are precious fountain, free to
bow for prayer. Baba Mungu wetu, tena katika jina la Bwana wetu Yesu Kristo, tushukuru sana Baba wetu kwa vile umetupatia Bwana kuwa hapa wakati huu mwingine ili tuweze kuendelea na yale mafundisho ambayo tuko nayo ya siku ya leo. Baba, ndivyo tuuliza Baba wetu, tusaidie Mungu, tulinde Baba wetu, tuongoze Baba, na sana sana daktari ambaye atakuwa akiongea Baba wetu, mpatie nguvu, msaidie Baba wetu aweze Bwana wetu kupata Bwana majibu ya yale ambao wapendwa wanaeleza kuuliza Baba wetu, kwa sababu wewe ndiwe unaweza yote. Tuweka mahitaji yetu yote kwako, tukijua Bwana utatusaidia, katika jina la Bwana wetu Yesu Kristo. Amen. Naona tutaimba wimbo mwingine tukingojea. Naona daktari ni kama ameingia, lakini tutaimba wimbo. Wale ambao hawajapata lunch, we are sorry about it. Tuliestimate na wale watu ambao walikuwa wamefika na hawakuwa wengi. Sasa hiyo ndio sababu. Sasa tuliona hawa watu ni wachache, kumbe wapendwa wengine wataingia. Lakini naambiwa in a few minutes time hiyo chakula itakuwa tayari, na mtaambiwa muende pande ile, kuna speaker iko huko. Kwa hivyo yale ambayo yatakuwa hapa mtakuwa mkisikia. Hakuna wasiwasi kabisa, na msikasirike sana. Hata mkikasirika ni kidogo, kwa sababu sasa mimi ukikasirika sana nitajua kichwa. Hiyo ndio. Kikasirika sana karibu hata uchape pasta, kichwa itakuwa imeharibika. Bwana asifiwe. Amen. Tunaweza kuimba 55 Injili. Sioni haya kwa Bwana, kwake nitang'ara, mti wake sitakana, ni neno imara. Msalaba ndio asili ya mema, nikatoa mtego hapo, nina uzima, furaha ndani
asanteni, God bless you. Can have our seats. So maswali ni mingi, tutajaribu kujibu as much as I can, God helping me. But then I've gone through the question. Kuna section nilikuwa nimeacha, but I think I'll just go through it. Itasaidia kujibu some of the questions that we have. Na hiyo ni remember kulikuwa na hiyo aspect ya stress na stress management. It's just a overview kidogo, alafu we'll answer some of the questions. So maybe when mtu akisikia stress, maybe kila mtu, we have our own thoughts, stress ni nini for each person, but it's usually, for majority of us, ni ile kitu yenye una experience at a particular time, na unasikia unasikia kama uko overwhelmed, like you're unable to, like you don't know how to cope with it. You feel like your resources are depleted, and hizi resource ni vitu kama emotions, because sometimes unaweza kupata kitu inakuapenia, alafu you feel that emotionally huwezi deal nayo, ama hata physically, maybe it can either be pain. There's that, kuna hiyo pain inaweza kuwa for long, and then you're not able, unajua kuna ile kama headache, ama some pain and it's manageable at some point, but then it exit, you feel that you're not able to manage it. Ama maybe kitu yenye inahitaji, maybe ni kama ni pesa, and at that particular time you feel you cannot afford to manage that thing. Ama in terms of emotions, unasikia uko overwhelmed, ile kitu unaweza kufanya mpaka uone kama kuna a way forward. And for this for stress unaweza kusema inaweza kuwa either positive or negative. Positive, kuna kile maybe at some point you might be feeling overwhelmed na something, but in a positive way. For example, maybe if you're a student, maybe ni exam unafaa kufanya, and that exam is important in assess how you're performing, na maybe itatumika kuenable move to the next level. That's ama hata kwa job or anything, unaweza kuwa na stress at that particular time, but it's something that is going to bring you maybe kama ni job, at the end of it you expect to get some pay which will help you cater for your basic needs. And then there's the negative ni ile stress yenye sasa it's about negative things that are happening, and hiyo sasa ndio inaweza kuaffect our mental health. However now, unajua kuna the stress levels, and maybe one person might think as if it's positive, for one person it might be positive, but to the other person it's negative. So kila mtu stress anaweza kuhandle ni different. So maybe if it's maybe a colleague or a young person telling you that they are stressed, just because that thing for you au consider kama ni kitu inaweza ni kitu inafaa stress mtu, ama kwamba kwa hiyo kitu iko stress, it's stress to the other person. So maybe you approach it from their part of from their where they're coming from. And that's when now, even now in that element, and as much as kuna positive, kuna also an element of wakati maybe you kuna excessive stress, especially if maybe for those people who are working, when it's excessive, ina causing what we call burnout. Wakati unasikia kabisa umeshindwa, you are unable to process it, and you're unable to do anything else. And then again, too little stress ina cause boredom, and which is also not a good thing. Either at work, even in relationship, ukisikia maybe hakuna stress, kitu ya kukufanya maybe to start working on your communication between, maybe if it's spouse or even in the family, if you're just relaxed and you just feel like there's nothing triggering, like your elemental looking for something to improve, in a causing boredom, even in relationship in at whatever level. So it's some level of stress is good for performance. Hata nilikuwa nimetoa hiyo graph, there's a graph which shows your stress sasa tu literally iko hapa chini, optimum iko hapa, ndio una perform vizuri, alafu sasa ikizidi sana the performance inaenda chini. And sources of stress can either be external ni vitu zenye outside us, and in most cases they may not be within our control. Tukisema traumatic experience, hiyo ndio to mention, there is physical and then now there is the psychological ama emotional trauma. Hizo ni vitu zenye they happen to us and from the external environment, and for each person it's different. Usually say, especially for psychological ama emotional trauma, mtu akisema ilikuwa traumatic, if it was traumatic to that person, it is traumatic to them. As mentioned, Camila, I'll give you example about culture. If someone feels that maybe that's what causing their illness, it's causing like it's for them now that's significant, and you help them kutoka hapo bila kuwajudge. And then stressful events, this can range from maybe unaenda job ama unatembea kwa barabara unapata accident, ama maybe you're going for an interview, maybe something happens, unapata jam kwa barabara ama unachelewa. And then there's other repercussions. These are some of the things that to cause stress, and they're caused by things that ziko outside us, and other day-to-day frustrations, which is like you're expecting this and it doesn't turn out the way we expected. It doesn't turn out how we expected. And then the other part is about our environment around us. It's been shown things about space, having enough space either at home, at workplace, and that place being clean and organized affects our mental health. And for some people, especially kuna wale watu wanapendanga kukua vitu zipangwe in a particular way. If that doesn't happen according to the expectation, it causes them stress. Then now there is the internal conflicts. Internal now sources of stress, which is conflicting choices. This is where unajipata uko na, you have to make a choice, and maybe each choice iko na consequences yake. So at that particular time, you really need to think about inakustress, so that it causes you stress in such a way that making one decision will cause this consequence, and making the other. So ikifika hapo, you have now to have your values, so that you know when whatever choice you're making is within what your values and vitu zenye una believe about life. And then there is the individual circumstances, only uncertainty or things that are beyond our control. And then there's another element about ourselves. Some people with some personality types are ndio wako na risk ya kuwa more stress compared to others. And then guilt ni wakati umefanya kuna kitu labda umefanya alafu inakaa ukisikia vibaya kuhusu it, blaming yourself and asking why you did it at that particular time. Then there is the irrational feelings. These are things that vitu zenye unasikia, some feelings you could be experiencing, afu nashangaa kwa nini nasikia hivi na sifai kuwa hivi. And then now the other one is the interpersonal relationship, which is I think the major aspect. This between people, interpersonal is from one person to another at different capacities, either between, if for the people who are married, between the spouse, and then between parents and children, at workplace, between ourselves and our colleagues, at school, between us and our students, between the fellow students or teachers. So at that particular time, some components of that relationship inaweza contribute to stress. So when we are stressed, there's a way our body reacts, and at that particular time, so we see some of these things. That's so if you're continuously stressed, that's not how stress affects our physical health. There's someone who has asked a question about that. You see some of this, that's how now constant stress will result to effect in terms of, other than the mental health, also our physical health. So at that time when most of us, when you unasikia stress, the heart beats faster, even your breathing is faster. We find that the blood pressure rises, and that's why if someone is constantly stressed, that's why you find that you constantly have the blood pressure is high, and if it's constantly high now, it might now lead to high blood pressure, or at that particular time, if it's very high, there is all these other complications of severe, like when the blood pressure is very high, and then you tend to feel tense.
Sorry for the interaction. Wale watu ambao wakula chakula kiko tayari huko na speaker iko huko, so you continue. So the part that you think you don't say anything.
Then the other things is we might observe at that particular time, unasikia maybe it affects our stomach and our digestion. You might find you have things like, since when the stress levels is high, our digestive system shuts down. That's why we might find things like constipation. And then there is an element of our liver releases glucose into the system, and which is also now contributes to other chronic illnesses. Maybe it might, there's a way that leads to someone, maybe if it's persistent, it can now contribute to someone developing other permanent condition. Okay. So hiyo zenye ziko hapo ni some of the ways our body responds to stress, and this stress inaweza kuwa anything. You might find at that particular time hiyo kitu either physical ama emotional, venye tulisema, yenye inakufanya unasikia uko overwhelmed. So unaweza kupata heart inaenda juu, pressure iko juu, kubreathe iko juu. Ndio unasikianga mtu anasema you can feel the heart, una breathe fast, alafu ama heart unasikia kama, unajua kawaida tusikienge kama roho inapiga, but that particular time you might actually feel like you can hear your heartbeat. Tunakuwa tense, muscles zina tighten. Sana sana kama ni za jaw, ndio mnaonanga maybe mtu anashindwa kuongea, unashindwa like when the digestive system, that's hiyo ina digest, ikishindwa ku digest jo, mtu anakuwa na issues za ku digest. Alafu sasa hii pupils ku dilate ni pupils ni hizi vitu, the black part in the eye, maybe I can just put it, there's a way you can monitor and see na kwa juu na ni kusaidia someone to deal with that stressful event. And then the other part ni liver ina release sugar kwa system. There is a way when we eat and everything, when chakula inakuwa metabolized, there's a component iko stored kwa liver. So that particular time it's stored in form of glycogen, inaitangwa glycogen. So now the kukuwa na stress inakuwa converted to sugar, which is glucose. Hiyo ndio inatumikanga na blood kusaidia muscle kufunction and everything. That is in readiness kwa mtu kufight ama to be able to fight with that situation. And then if this is persistently high, tunaweza kupata sasa inaweza kuaffect the stress, also affect our immune system. Tunapatanga kama mtu ako maybe unaweza kuwa uko na stress, you find yourself you're getting frequent infections because our body haiwezi ku develop like to have the fighting mechanism of the body haiko sufficient. So stress in chronic in affect our health in terms of making the immune system to be low. Mtu anapata frequent infections, anajipata kwa hospitali mara mingi, and in most cases it's because of stress. And now the response I've mentioned, it's just a body and how our body responds, na ni kwa sababu ya some hormones or chemicals which are produced, and the commonest sasa ni hiyo ya kufight enye how we find our like the body, mwili inasikia kama iko in danger, and unaweza ku overpower hiyo kitu. Ndio hiyo tulikuwa tunasema maybe kama there is a snake which comes, or maybe just a dangerous thing. Ideally mtu hiyo ndio nini itakuwa ndio unaweza ku fight that person. But then again, now putting it in terms of vitu zenye zinatuapenia is maybe when you feel in terms of relationship hapa katikati yetu, maybe ni wakati unasikia maybe mtu ana like they're coming into space, or they're talking things, or maybe the actions na affect. So at that point unaweza kujipata ndio unaweza the body might respond such that unataka kufight your mtu, ndio tunajipatanga tu mtu anakasirika, na hiyo kama uwezi control hiyo kukasirika, ndio ina causing your aggression ile maybe kuchapa watu wengine, na hiyo ni kwa sababu ni it's just a response to stress by the body. Alafu kuna ile element nyingine maybe depending on venye mwili ita assess our brain at that particular time, you see you always overcome your danger. Na sasa hiyo ndio sasa watu wanakimbia, which is maybe what most people will do, especially for dangerous things. Most people will want to run away from it, which is also a normal response. But then again, if it's something which persists, ndio sasa ina cause vitu kama hiyo uoga. Unajipata ukikuwa faced na kitu is a situation, kama kuna kitu likufanyikia possibly the trauma, unajipata sasa you have fear of maybe going to a similar situation just in case that thing happens again, and hapo ndio sasa anxiety ina develop. And then there is the freeze. Sasa hii freeze ni wakati maybe the stressing event, we find ourselves, you feel that you cannot fight it or flee. So ile mtu unasikia kama feeling of being stuck. Na sasa hiyo if it's a physical danger, maybe mtu anasemanga hata alishindwa kusonga, unashindwa kuongea, you just stay in one place. If it's maybe in terms of like other and like a psychological symptom, hapo sasa ndio ile mtu anasikianga about feeling of fear, kuwa depressed, feeling of shame or dissociation. Dissociation ile mtu a feeling uko mahali but unasikia kama uko outside your body, and it's just a way of you don't want to deal with that your situation, either to fight it or to flee. You don't want to deal with it, you just stay in that place. Na hiyo doesn't help. And then there is a new response that is has been shown, inaitwa phone. And it happen when sasa after someone has been stress for like a prolonged period of time, and commonly watu wenye walikuwa na childhood trauma, wamekuwa na hiyo abuse during childhood, so they have tried the fight, flight, freeze, na zote hazijasaidia. So some of the behaviors that have been noticed in adulthood ni wale watu they are over agreement. Mtu tu wakiambiwa kitu unakubali. Wale watu wanapenda kusaidia watu wengine, like they say, when someone says that wanajipata tu wanataka kusaidia wengine with their primary goal ni kufanya mtu mwingine afurahi without considering about their happiness. They have difficulty saying no or setting boundaries, and that is based maybe with what happened. So they feel like it's a way of compensating compensating about things that maybe they did not get when they needed the help at that particular time. So to mambo niongeze about it helps about defense mechanism. In some of the ways defense mechanism has been shown the ways that we may not know it, but there's a way of mind. Wakati unapata stress ama something that you feel that you're not able to cope, a way of dealing with it. The commonest ni hiyo denial. Denial ni ile kitu ina happen, kitu inaendelea, but unajipata utaki kuamini, ama you tell your mind it's not happening, you convince yourself. And then displacement, kitu ina happen, tuseme for example, maybe tuseme kama ni kwa workplace, maybe mtu amekukasirisha huko, and displacement sasa ni unajua placement ile unafaa hii kitu kama iko hapa inafaa ikae hapa. Displacement ni kama iko hapa inafaa kuwekwa umeweka a different place. So instead of dealing na hiyo mtu mwenye maybe amekukasirisha ama amekufanyia kitu mbaya, hiyo anga ama hiyo feelings amecause unazi place kwa mtu mwingine. The same with projection, like you project like so for you displacement unampelekea mtu mwingine, alafu hiyo nyingine ni unajipata umekasirikia the other person. And then rationalization ni ile kitu happen but you unajaribu kutafuta answer, like not an answer, explanation. Maybe a commonest thing, maybe kitu unaweza kuexplain what I found maybe can I give which is relevant here. Ni kitu yenye ifai ku happen, but as a way of dealing with it, mtu una explain, maybe for example kama ni, let's say even about what is it, let me just say the commonest that we find is gender based violence, and maybe one spouse anakuwa anachapwa. There are some people wanaanza kusema ni mtu mzuri, labda ananichapa kwa sababu so unajaribu ni mtu mzuri, lakini hata kama ananichapa ni mzuri kwa sababu anachunga watoto, kwa sababu anafanya vitu kama hizo, trying to provide to explain, and for some people that helps them. Wanakup nayo, hiyo huwezi elewa, but for them wanadeal nayo, na hiyo inawasaidia kuweza kuishi, kuendelea kuchapa, kuendelea hivyo kwa sababu hiyo mtu ni mzuri kwa watoto. And then reaction formation ile, when that the stressing being, there is usually a reaction that you have upon it, kuna a specific way una react hiyo kitu iki happen. Repression ile mtu unafikiria like kabisa, you don't even want to think about it again. And then sublimation ni unatafuta something else different as a way to maybe sublimation. I think it's kwa tiza zote, I think the positive one is sublimation. There are some things zenye hatuwezi ukiona kuna kitu hatuwezi cope nayo, mwezi change, trying to look for an alternative yenye utafanya as a coping skill, itakusaidia ku pass time na kusahau at that particular time. And so some of the ways that we are about to manage stress is, the first thing is control our life, and the most important thing is time management. Utapata most of the time vitu zina cause stress, especially to the young people, for us who are working like those formal jobs, time management naweza kujipata. If you don't manage your time well, hiyo ndio itakucause stress. Kusutaka tu kila time una deadline, you have so many things to do, and alafu na feel uko na hiyo time, hauna enough time. So trying to balance between work and family demands ndio uweze kupata hiyo, like have that balance. And time management is usually unaangalia which are the urgent and important things, and those are the ones that you try to focus on. Ukipata kitu maybe unaona itatumia time yako, like, but it's not urgent and it's not important, hiyo ni vitu kama maybe watching, like playing video games, watching movies, watching TV. Those are neither urgent, okay, not important, especially if now you have other things, maybe uko na job unafaa ufanye, uko na shule homework unafaa ufanye, those are more important. So hapo na rationalize what, even if kama time iko limited, you focus on what is more important and urgent. Then if you have extra time, now you can say I'll create time for watching the TV, playing the game, or maybe checking on WhatsApp or social media later when you've done the important things first. The other things now is developing our skills to handle stress, and that's what now we call coping skills. You just try to kuona nini itakusaidia that particular time. That includes meditation. Meditation ni kukana kufikiria about what is like asking yourself, say, hey, what are my thoughts, ni gani, alafu ku identify ni gani zina cause, kama kuna zenye zina cause distress, kama kuna kitu unasikia maybe it's an issue, to see how to deal with it, and kuwa mindful, like when you're doing something, you ask yourself, why am I doing this? And then spiritual development, that one is for us as Christians, we are privileged to know that whatever issue we have, if we take it to God in prayer, atatusaidia. So maybe that's another way to deal with it, and maybe that should be the main thing that we do. And then always having positive attitudes about life. No matter what happens, you always have that hope that it will get better with time. And now having the element of emotional resilience in that we mentioned. And then lifestyle changes, that's very important. And then if it persists, getting professional help. We can start with the pastor if you feel it's something that can be handled, and then from there we'll ataona kama ni kitu ina persist and it's beyond spiritual help, like only you now have to work with a therapist. There is usually different ways in which we can seek help. And another way is to focus on what we can control. This one, if you're able to master what is in the blue, hiyo kitu ya blue, that's usually very important. There are those things that are within our control na vile vitu outside our control. In my control ni zile vitu naweza kucontrol. So wewe unajiuliza ukipata kama bi kitu ime happen, these are the kind of things you ask, can I control it or is it outside my control? For things that are within our control, hizo ndizo tunafaa to focus nazo and to deal with it. If it's outside your control, you just have to now have a way you cope with it, and you have to continuously tell yourself it's outside your control na kuna kitu unaweza kufanya until maybe if there's something the other person can do, it's up to them to work on it. So some of the things in our control are our thoughts and our actions. That one now you cannot blame the other person for what you think and what you do. That one you have to take responsibility. How we speak to ourselves, the kind of things that we tell ourselves, and how you spend your time. You can't blame the other people. For that you have to take responsibility. So that even as you're coming up with a coping skill for you, or what he says, a wellness plan, ya kufanya exercise, focusing on diet, you know that you have always control of free time, without blame mtu mwingine. And then your boundaries, you should know, each of us kuna boundaries. Kujua boundaries ni zile vitu, tunajua boundaries kama hizi za church events, but now we also should have our own personal boundaries and it should be based on our values. Values ni zile vitu we believe about life, things like integrity, respecting other people, having a positive attitude towards other people, not being judgmental, things like those. Unafaa kuwa na values zako ndio ujue in as much as una interact na watu, there's a particular, your boundaries are up to a certain point. Ndio ukiona sasa maybe mtu anapitisha boundaries zako, utamwambia, and you have to communicate it well, like in terms of how people can treat you, the kind of things they can say to you and what they can do to you, and then how you handle challenges, that you have to come up with your own coping skills. And then our goals is also up to us, and the things that you spend time and energy in. These are the things which are outside that, things like the past, especially the past. There are some things that vituzilifanyika kitambo, they could be maybe affecting you now, but there's very little you can do about the past since it's already happened. It's just to see now what can be salvaged at this particular time. The opinions and actions of others, what people think, vitu zenye watu wengine wanafikiria kukuhusu, ama what they say about you, that's about hiyo ni kuhusu hao. As long as you know you're doing your things in accordance to your values and you're doing the best at that particular time, it shouldn't worry you. And then things that how other people take care of themselves. Maybe sometimes you might want, especially for adults and other people, there's a way you might want watu wengine wa behave, but if they are not behaving like that, you can only go as far as you said, you talking to them and giving them the tools on how to improve. But if it doesn't, if they don't want to take that advice, or if hawataki kuchange, it does there's nothing much you can do. And then now, as much as you could be having goals and plans, we do not have much control about our future. So it shouldn't be kitu inatufanya tukue worried, what is going to happen to me? What if this happens? What if this happens? You see, because it hasn't happened, inachukua a lot of your energy which unaweza kufanya kuimprove today, rather than using it to worry about something which has not happened. Another aspect that we need to increase is, and mentioned previously, next slide, is about increasing our social support, which is very important. And so those are the kind of things I was saying. We should always have in mind someone whom who can rely on. Like relying on mtu unajua, ukikuwa na shida, atakusaidia, na mtu mwenye unaweza maybe kumpigia simu, kuongea na yeye, anaendelea kusaidia. So to always have that person in mind. Alafu mtu mwenye una enjoy kuongea na yeye, mtu mwenye anasikia anakusikia, anaona uko na value na anaku respect, na maybe ukimwambia kitu anakupea feedback yenye ni honest in terms of your behavior, like hata kama hiyo feedback itakuwa negative, ni mtu ako honest na yeye anakuwish well. And then mtu mwenye is a valuable source of information nzuri, mtu mwenye anakuchallenge to make you kuchallenge ni constantly kufanya ndio uweze ku feel better about yourself. And then kuna mtu mwenye maybe if you have bad news or good news, is there a person mwenye unaweza kushare naye, so that even at that particular time ikifika uko na someone ready to share the news with. So hii sasa ni kutusaidia, it's just a summary of problem solving. And hii sasa kusolve problem ni wakati kuna hiyo kitu sasa it's within your control, there's something you can do about it. So try to, the first thing ni ku-identify hiyo shida ni gani, alafu unaandika the different ways that hiyo shida unaweza kudeal na inaweza kuwa solved different ways. Kama maybe shida maybe ni kama sahii kuna kitu unahitaji kununua, hauna enough money, what are the different ways to raise money to be able to achieve that thing. And then unachagua hiyo moja hizo alternative at that particular time, unaona ndio the best, una implement, alafu unaona kama itasaidia. Kama itasaidia unarudi tena the second alternative, you try mpaka unapata solution to your problem. And with then we will see like at least kwa hizo utakosa solution, but like worry about it, and when you worry about it, it doesn't help much. But then again, now there's those problems that we are not able to solve, and that's why now tunasemanga kuna hizo coping skills. And there's a situation that you're not able to solve, but it's still there. So how do you deal with it? Na hapo ndio kila mtu anafaa kwenda, na hizo vitu zita happen, especially as ziko na outside of that blue box, so they involve other people or things like the future or things like they involve other people like the future. So if you find yourself kama kuna kitu na kustress about that, you just a way to distract yourself and to focus on something different. So for different people have different coping skills, and maybe it's just a list of some of the ones that people give as examples. Kuna tu wakisikiza music, wakifanya exercise, wakikuwa na hobbies ni ile kitu yenye unafanya yenye unasikia unafurahia. Inaweza kuwa maybe play music, play a musical instrument, either art. Then there's your journaling. Kuna watu wanasema if they're able to write, ukiandika your feelings down at that particular time inakusaidia. And then others say as long as they're not bringing harm to yourself and to others, they are positive. Na kama ina work kwako, it's good to continue. The negative ones ni zenye you use them but hazisaidii shida at that particular time, and eventually they might have negative consequences. Hiyo ni vitu kama maybe crying excessively, ignoring the problem. Hiyo sasa using the negative defense mechanism zenye you deny that the problem is there, iko lakini unataka kuassume iko. And then using drugs and other substances, and then excessive digital technology use. Maybe kuna sasa ile ukipata kitu negative, for some people say unaenda sasa kutumia simu either maybe kwa social media ama kuangalia tu vitu, play games at that particular time. Kama unaona if you're using it for negative, it's not a good way. So this just to summarize, worrying is like sitting in a rocking chair. It gives you something to do but doesn't get you anywhere. So if you have a worry, if you're not working, it's okay to worry for a short period, but if that's where you remain, it will appear like you're doing something. Itachukua your energy physically, mentally, but ikusaidii. But for us as believers, we are happy. Maybe that we have this promise. We have a hope that if we tell God about our problems, atatusaidia. And we'll finish with that Bible verse which says, therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has its enough troubles. So maybe that's something that even whenever you're faced with something, it's kitu tu ya ku constantly remind ourselves, and with time whatever is worrying you, either wasemanga time is a best medicine, either hiyo kitu itakuwa solved in a by itself, ama it will get something better than it, and that one will no longer be there. So thank you. So I feel that maybe will help me answer some of the questions. There's one someone and asked about what kind of diet should one take to improve mental health. There's not like any specific diet, but if our physical health is good, our mental health is most likely to be good. So healthy, it's just focus on a healthy diet. Ni vitu zenye ziko nutritious, like fruits, vegetables, proteins, and carbohydrates zenye ziko si processed sana, vitu kama white rice. So those are the things that we okay, most of the time, sio kila time, at some point kuna hiyo element ya it's okay to have it. Wanasemanga as long as you're eating healthy, and 80% of the time it's okay. But in terms of specific foods, I think most foods unless kama uko na allergy, hakuna like any specific. But healthy diet, I think most of us know, less carbohydrates and more proteins and vegetables, na a lot of water. Every time I have stress, I experience a chest ache and always unable to do no more. Cause does it mean I will easily get asthma? So we've seen from about stress, it's just that's how our body responds to the stress. So in terms of causing asthma, that part no, it won't cause asthma. Asthma is not caused by stress. Asthma is caused by other issues, but not stress. But now is to be able to identify what is it that causes you stress. It's just that how our body responds. But sasa kama your stress, you need to deal with whatever it is. Whatever is causing, basically kitu constant, because as you saw, the constant, like if you are constantly stressed and that's the response the body gives, it might not increase the risk of not developing more health conditions. This other one is asking, if you realize that your child is chewing mirror secretly, how do you deal with such? Remember we mentioned about if you realize and you're sure about it, it's always important. It might be difficult even for you, first as a parent, like it's, I would say it's a stress for you. So you first need to deal with it. Now get to that acceptance that anatumia miraa, and for you see it, you need to help them. And now hapo unajiprepare, and you have to create time, as you said, and get the appropriate time, ama the ideal time ya kudeal nayo, and you just approach it in a judgmental way. You say you notice this, and just talk about it and explain why it's not good, and see how to support. Usually, in most cases, if you're able to approach it in a positive way, the person will listen to. And then the other one is, if your mental health is affected, does it cause diseases, especially in chest, back, and feet? But I think that one we've answered. It's sometimes for some people they might have some mental health issues or maybe stress or something, and for some people it's common, instead of presenting to hospital with anakuja anasema about memory issues ama kuwa depressed. For some people it's easier to come with pains and to say maybe naumwa na hapa, and then once if you go maybe to a good facility, they're able to identify that umefanya hizo test and you frequently come with the same pain, sometimes now you might find the doctor assessing you to assess kama you have any mental health problem, because for some people, if you experience constant aches, it could be a sign of mental health. And then when the doctors do tests, they are not able to get anything to explain it physically. Or even to some point we can explain, like they can say maybe it could be causing, but then it's you're on treatment na bado haiko control. Maybe someone is on treatment for hypertension, for diabetes, you're like medication, daktari ameona anatumia the right ones, but then constantly the sugars, the blood pressures are not going down. Usually in that case, usually now recommend mental health assessment to assess. Mtoto akiwa shuleni anashika chenye mwalimu anafunza, lakini kuandika iko na shida, kunaweza kuwa na mental health. Hii ina depend na age ya mtoto, but from just based on this possibly kunayo, because there is usually shida za watoto tunazi identify mapema. Kama ni mtoto maybe ndio ako preschool na ako na hiyo shida, ni vizuri kumpeleka akuwe assessed. The earlier the better, because ndio shida aki-identify kama kuna shida, anaweza starting interventions mapema. It's better kuliko maybe kungoja mpaka nafika huko senior primary school. It might be difficult, but tukianza mapema, especially in preschool, hata kama kuna shida, akikuwa supported, they're able to get to almost the same achievement na watu wenye wana shida kubwa in terms of that. But you also need to assess shida ni gani. So for that, ninge advise umpeleke hospitali, daktari atafanya the other maswali zingine ku-evaluate, alafu tuweze kujua shida iko wapi. I think I'll answer even this one the same. Can MRI ama X-ray cause mental damage to a person, especially below 5 years? Not really, unless now inafanywa continuously. But if kama nile tu mtu anapelekwa for one evaluation, it doesn't. In a certain case, a child cannot solve simple arithmetic and is above age, and other simple instructions given, though he or she is willing. Can that be a mental disorder? And what is the remedy? I would say maybe kulingana na hii there's an element of, because it's outside of what is expected, especially a child. For this, I would say there seems to be a problem. It might not maybe be a disorder per se, but there seems to be a problem. And for that, unahitaji mpeleke akuwe assessed, ndio tujue remedy ni nini. That's the second part. What is the remedy? It will depend, because different conditions inaweza kupresent na hivi. So it's usually good mtoto anakuwa evaluated, alafu unapewa advice after complete evaluation. No, this one, remember I mentioned about how for us we do our mental health, mostly inakuanga maswali. So we'll ask, kama sasa mtoto kama ni mdogo, tutauliza the parents, and then based on that, maybe unaweza, for now, maybe first to give advice, you can start with just a general doctor, unamweleza, and then from there, kiona you need to be seen by a psychiatrist, ataenda, alafu ata-evaluate. So part of the things we ask about other areas of life, maybe when mtoto alidevelop milestone, najua kuna ile age mtoto nafaa atembea, aongee, hizo areas, and then other areas of functioning, are they able to do things for themselves, kujiosha, kujilisha, and alafu kulingana na hivyo, we can now even take there's test specifically, mtu unamwambia achore, andike, you go through the homework books and everything, and from there you can be able to make the diagnosis. So for this, I would advise when in hospitali, and if maybe if I was to make a specific, the Meru Hospital. At least there you can get, it could be a good place to start. Huh? Most of those conditions in childhood hazina like a dawa. So that's all the interventions we see ni behavioral. Especially kama shida ni kusoma na kuandika ama maybe ako na delay in terms of understanding concept kwa class na kila kitu, hapo tunaweza kuelewa kama hizi vitu zingine yako sawa, anakuwa maybe for some people akipewa extra tutor, hiyo inasaidia. Another support kama maybe ni kuongea ndio shida, akitengeneza akipewa like speech therapy inasaidia. Hakuna dawa pase but anapewa extra support mali kuna hayuko maybe within the normal range or the expected. Ingine ni, is it good to use computer games or phone games? I'd say there's nothing wrong, but now shida inakuja, you need to ask yourself why, kukua mindful, like why are you doing it? If you're doing it and then is it within your values? Unajua sasa kuna computer games zingine as long as maybe they're not, for us as Christians, we have some limits on what, which is things that are according to the word. So if it's within that, and then again, you're not choosing it more than you want, such that it affect your functioning, your expectations, I would say it's okay as long as it's within your positive values and the things that you believe in. But sasa ukijipata unatumia in a way that which you're not happy about, sasa hapo ndio inaanza kuwa shida. Sasa hiyo ndio nasema, especially sasa kama unajipata unatumia in places that it's not expected, especially ukijipata unapata hiyo urge kwa church tutumie simu uanze kusoma ama kuplay game kwa church. Sasa hapo ndio hiyo hapo ni shida. It's already starting to get to become problematic. Ama sasa kama as you mentioned, if you're using it as a way to beat boredom, ukijipata kama sasa hiyo ndio reason, it means then you have so much of time which you're not haujaplania. Sasa hapo ndio ile element ya kukuwa na routine ama having planned activities that you do towards achieving your goals. So ukijipata uko bored most of the time, ask yourself what is the extra thing that you can do, a positive thing and inaweza keep occupied. Hapo ndio element ya hobby inakujia, something that is more productive, because ukijipata ukitumia hiyo nini wakati uko bored, you're more likely to get dependent ni kwa addiction and inaonekana ni hiyo kutumia phone and everything, the internet, it has the same effect kwa brain na drugs. There's the chemical inakuwa inaitwa dopamine, ndio inafanyanga watu wanasikia vizuri, na hiyo ndio inafanyanga mtu aendelee kutumia drugs over and over. So it's shown inakuwa juu wakati unatumia, na sasa there's a way our brains zina learn ukiboeka utaenda kwa simu, watch games ama utafanya, na hiyo sasa inakufanya unasikia vizuri. So itakufanya usikie bored several times, like you find yourself you now even start ignoring important things, ndio you create your boredom, ndio uweze kutumia computer, like your computer ama kucheza hizo games. And even the games themselves, they are addictive in their own way, in their own element. Yeah. So ikipata unatumia places zenye haifai kutumika, church ama in a social gathering, especially in a family setup, it's not a positive thing. Unless if you find yourself playing a game and people maybe are talking to you, you're supposed to attend work, but unajipata sasa hiyo ndio unataka kutumia, it's not a good thing. Kuna hii ingine, how do you deal with emotions that come in a certain time and makes you feel unloved, unappreciated? What can I do so that it doesn't affect my children at that time? So if you constantly find yourself that you have those negative emotions, you need to evaluate and see, are there things like, is there like a pattern? Can you identify what is causing that aspect? And if you're able to identify, see, can you deal with it, or is it something that it's constant there? And but then if it's persistent, no, sasa inaanza ku affect your family. Now that's the element. Now we said it's now becoming problematic, and you need to seek help. So kama unaona mpaka you're trying to distract yourself from those negative emotions, but bado zimeendelea, maybe it's time that you need to seek help for us to assess and see. How do you approach the case of a teenager who wants to stay on phone or watch when you can't beat them out of it? When you talk about it, they agree to change, but always repeat the same thing. So this one, especially that last part, when you talk about it, it's a good thing you're talking about it, but then they always, if they find themselves going to repeat it, that now shows an element of addiction. Some of the criteria that usually use Mayo, even when you're asking about alcohol or any substance, one of the questions you ask someone, have you felt the need to cut? Or so you have to cut down, like for example, unasikia, maybe this drug I'm using, I need to cut, or have you actually tried and ukajaribu alafu ukashindwa? So even in terms even of the other internet and phone addiction and other social media addiction, it's also that element. Unajaribu unashindwa. Kama umefika hapo, it means they are getting an addiction to that, and so for that now it means to might actually need professional help, because as you say, kuchapa itasaidia. So that's it's a sign that they are getting dependent on it or addicted, and you need to seek help. Ngine ni mrefu na ngumu, but I'll read it as it is. The first part, mtu ana appreciate the lesson. I'm happy. And kindly address what can be done when a person finishes school and they have their own thoughts of what they want to become after that, but their parents feel this cannot work, and let the child and hoped to get more support from parents, but the parents feel they have made enough sacrifice for the child. For example, the child does agriculture and plans to become a farmer and hopes the parent will allow him a piece of land to do the farming, but they refuse, and maybe this child had this thought as the only hope and now cannot help him or herself. This is now, maybe I would say now it's one of the things to kuweka as a stressor, ile kitu na kucause stress, and then just see for now the last part hapo inaonyesha as if mtu anaona as if there's no way you cannot help yourself, but it's just continuously to continuously talk to your parents, and kama hii sasa unaona you feel that they are not hopeful or something, and you identify sasa, is there a different way you can approach it for you based on this? Kama unasikia you need a piece of land to start being a farmer, maybe you can now pale sasa una list alternatives. The alternatives is get land from parents, acquire my own land. So you get land from parents, maybe you can say it's not working. Can you now have to option B? acquire my own land. So now I don't have a goal, and now you're going to acquire your own land and accomplish now your long-term goal. So maybe in this way, to acquire your own land, unaweza kufikiria maybe now that needs money. So ndio najiuliza, is there something else you can do as a short-term way to achieve now this, as you even continue convincing your parents that this is what you do, so that you don't feel stuck in one way, in one place, and there's nothing much you can, like if you feel stuck, you can't progress. And so even one way to deal with stress, as I usually say, it's about lowering your expectations. If you expected that land, maybe now say you have to go to plan B and now have long term, even if it involves sasa kupata job ingine, it does not involve agriculture, upate pesa, ununue shamba, you have to, now maybe accomplish your long term goal. You're just trying to see what is within your control that you can help. Because now, as you say, your parents, their thoughts, their opinions it's beyond your control. You can only just give your suggestion and explain to them what you want, and then give them time to understand, and then to get to where you are. Maybe as a way to understand, even for the parents, maybe for them, maybe as you say, they wanted something different for them. Maybe it's taking longer to accept that even if wanataka utaki chenye wanataka. So it's just a matter of time and having a plan B. This other one is, at what age should a child be given a phone? That one, there's no specific answer. It depends with you as a parent and what you want. And then the other one is, how does a parent check on conversation and website visited by their teenage children without being intrusive? The first part, remember when we're talking, is about, for us as families, we have our own values, and tunaanza from mapema. So even as the children grow, we have taught them about what this is what we believe in as a family. This is the things, even in terms of things, if you're watching, this is what you watch, you cannot watch this. So even a child grows up knowing that there's that limit. So wakianza kunini, even when they want to experiment, they know that it's not allowed, and they'll always have that guilt. And for you to continuously maybe even have that trust, and if you have a doubt ama uko na hiyo evidence that maybe anaenda kusoma hizo nini, ndio sasa unamapproach. But as you said, you need to be aware of what they are doing. Ideally, your child should not have something that you're not checking the things that they are doing. Especially, that's why maybe it's important, kama kuna time anatumia computer ama website, ni time iko fix and unaweza kujua. And you can beyond that, you're concerned, and you start the discussion then. And then the other one is, how can a parent have conversation on sexuality with their teenagers and young adults? Is it necessary? Yeah, I say it's necessary. So I don't know what you mean by sexuality, but I think it's necessary, and it's the earlier we start there, the better. Because usually I say it's better mtoto asikie the move from the parents, because if they're to get it from the other people, most likely it's going to get distorted. It's either maybe sexuality. I don't know if you mentioned about the thing that we have nowadays about these, what are they called? These are the things which are being added to male and female, like now the various classification, homosexuality, gay, those ones. I think it's better to start as early as possible, and just by talking about it does not mean that you're giving them ideas, because it's better you talk, you tell them it's okay. Like for us, maybe if I can say, for us, our children here know it's okay for those people, is the men who marry other men, it's okay for them to do that, but that's not right according to God's word, and it's